Derrick James says he doesn't know what happened to Errol Spence during the Terence Crawford fight. Is that cap or big facts? What's good, everybody? It's your boy, Cardinal Red Spots. Let's talk about it. Alright, y'all. So, Errol Spence trainer recently gave an interview, broke his silence on what he feels like happened to Errol Spence during the Terence Crawford fight and why he might not have performed the way everyone was hoping he would. I wanted to give my 42 nickels on what he had to say and break it down for whoever listening.
How to see that Dallas will do you. See, everybody was riding with him. See, everybody will always ride with somebody to one thing negative happen and they turn on him. I turn on Facebook, everybody laughing at him. So I wanted him to understand people ain't loyal.
Alright, y'all. So Errol Spence trainer, he basically said that he feels like he doesn't know what happened to Errol Spence during the Terence Crawford fight. He actually said it could be anything. He doesn't really know. He said he felt like in training, they trained well. He said he felt like before the fight, he thought everything was up and okay with Errol Spence. But when he got into the ring, he could see that his timing was off. And it was almost like he was moving in quicksand.
And I'm telling you the details that he shared with me, that whole entire situation as well as the case. You know, it makes sense for Earl to have to fall from his throne right now so he can pay his dues for the part he played in the death of Mo 3.
It's crazy that he said that because, you know, what I've said about Errol Spence in the past to critique him was that he has very slow feet, and if a speed style fighter can move quicker than him, he can most likely beat him because of his slow feet. Now, the problem with that is I didn't see Errol Spence do anything he normally does. Now, one school of thought is going to be, well, Bud is just that good. Yes, Bud is very, very awesome as a boxer. Upper echelon, one-of-a-kind boxer. But Errol Spence is also a one-of-a-kind boxer. It could have been to where, you know, the same thing as the Maypac fight, kind of like the high levels of competition kind of canceled each other out. But the problem with that is they didn't cancel each other out. It was a one-sided beatdown, and that would mean that Errol Spence was nowhere near his normal self.
You know, he and Earl lived in the same apartment complex.
I would agree with Derrick James. I would say that I saw nothing of the normal Errol Spence in that fight. Not 1 minute. I don't care that I gave him the first round. No, I don't, you know, he didn't look right from the opening bell. And he said the only thing that he can think of that could have been a problem and that he can see as the problem was the weight. It's just that Errol Spence might have done too much to make weight.
I believe that the weight cut did have an issue with you know, because, you know, from my understanding, some things didn't go right in camp and stuff like that, so we're not making no excuses. It's a fact that some things transpired in camp and that he had to lose the weight a certain way because something happened.
He said that was the only thing he can think of. Other than that, he can't even place his finger on what exactly went wrong for Spence. But he does feel like that Spence could fight a better fight. He never said that he thinks that Spence should retire or that Spence is having a neurological problem or, you know, none of these things that people are trying to bring up as a reason that Errol Spence should maybe start to think about his exit from the sport. You know, it's crazy because here's the thing. Terence Crawford is the older of these two fighters, but it's almost like some people want to retire Errol Spence early because of the car accident.
Bro, Earl like that, bro. Like, straight up. He like that. I believe Earl gonna go straight into it. I don't want him to, but I ain't got no control over that.
They're almost trying to convince him that the car accident is the reason he got beat by Terence Crawford. And that, results of him coming out of that windshield are the reasons he got beat by Terence Crawford. And I just find that to be hilarious, man, because the way he did Ugas, the way he did Danny Garcia, nobody was, trying to convince him that he needs to leave the sport because he beat the crap out of those guys, So it's almost funny that when he finally loses a fight, almost 4 years after the car accident, and a year after Ordanius Ugas, 2 years after Danny Garcia, or 3 years after Danny Garcia, that they're trying to convince him that now all of a sudden the brain injury, there's a brain injury going on, and this is the reason Crawford was able to beat you so bad.
You did nothing wrong, brother. The only crime we men are guilty of is being men, black men.
And what it seems like to me is, and I'm going to end it off here, is that they're trying to convince Errol Spence he doesn't need a rematch so Bud can move on, because they know Bud has a limited amount of time left before his skill sets are going to start to degrade because of age. So if they want to push the Bud train, they have to do it now.
It makes me... Now look what you gone and done. You done gave me a stroke.
And if Errol Spence comes back and beats him, then it's going to derail the Bud train. And they're not going to be able to capitalize off Terence Crawford hype, And they have to capitalize off the hype of him beating a really big name, because everyone said he was hard to sell.
Yo, what I'm concerned about is this black on black crime.
So, I found it kind of funny and ironic that they're pushing this agenda of the brain injury to try to stop the rematch. But believe me, my friend, that rematch is going to happen. You're going to see a better Errol Spence. Whether he wins or loses, it's going to be a different Errol Spence in that ring. And, I think it's kind of not funny, but I think it's sad. Boxing channels and sporting networks and pundits, and even of Terence Crawford, even though he hasn't said anything about this agenda of them pushing his brain injury and stuff, he didn't actually address that. But he's not trying to stop the rumors. Like, he should have been the first one to say, man, y'all just give Earl his credit. There's nothing wrong with the man. He just had an off night. Whenever anybody brings that up, that should be the only thing that Terence Crawford says. And it's almost like he's feeding into it by not saying anything. And I think that's highly disrespectful to Errol Spence Jr.
Oh, 100%. No one failed more than I did. I deserved all the credit I received. Nobody's seen more than I've seen. None of these fighters, none of these athletes. I'm the king of the barbarians. There's no one that could surpass me in the pain I've endured.
Then I'll illustrate my reign with bloodshed and pain. Then everybody will fear me. They'll tremble in the bones. I'll take their life. That's what I do. I'm ordained for this. I've been to Valhalla. I've seen the most vicious and most cruelest and coldest white people in the world. They accept me. He can't stop me. Him.
Y'all let me know what y'all think about all that down in the comment section below. That like button, fun man, share. Subscribe. Holler at me on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. But you're more than likely to get a response on the tubes, or holler at me over there. If you want to collabo, feature a product or your channel on my channel, feel free to hit my Gmail, because it is a flock of cards at gmail.com. And we are live.
If you're from the Ville, you know I'm fucking with you. If you're from Kentucky, you know I'm fucking with you. You ain't never heard of me, you wanna get familiar. Well, my nigga, let me paint a picture. 12 motherfuckers splitting 3 bedrooms. Dang, my nigga, let me get some leg room. Every single night we watch the 10 o'clock news. Young black man murdered over tennis shoes. Every year we move to a brand new hood. Had to fight a nigga just to make it understood. Bitch, I learned to fight from Wayne and you nothing. First thing they taught me, nigga, swing if you touch it. Moved out of town when I turned 19. Seen $400 pounds of light cream. Moved back home before I turned 20. I guess you could say that was the birth of Louis Keys. It was time to let these niggas know my name. Young Real introduced me to the game. He was rapping too big back in the day, when they had Daddy Yo and Hurricane. They was getting beats from Willie Will and Lil J. Can't forget Young Surge, they did they thing. That motivated me to do the same, and I did it. Spit it so clean, they thought I came from a dentist. This is for my niggas with the chain gang sentence. When you make it home, I got some change and some bitches. No hook, but they still play it in the club. 7 grams of the loud, paid about a dub. Cause I know the plug and I know the outlet. Feel snapback I got ain't came out yet. Nigga, please listen to the game that I'm slinging. Tax time come around, I claim like I'm banking. Ain't nothing worse than $1 million bitch that'll fuck for a purse. I need a nurse, I think I'm getting sicker. My nigga Dose came through with 2 bottles of liquor. This is for my nigga Moski and all the other real OGs.